name is Sheryl Clayton. I teach mathematics at Well Trained Mind Academy. I've been teaching for 25 plus years, high school and college mathematics courses. I love mathematics and the beauty it creates improves art and the world. I expect my students to be open to learning mathematics and enjoy my class. I like to create an environment that is safe to ask questions and to have fun while learning mathematics. Teaching is an art, and I believe that my purpose is to make sure that students achieve their goals through nurturing and challenging their minds. Being a teacher is to be able to reach your students equipped with the knowledge to help students with varying skill levels, no matter what the learning style is. I also believe in cross curriculum. This gives students the opportunity to see how math is related across the curriculum. Curriculum should be reinforced with understanding of why and critical thinking skills. Also, to create a positive environment that will make students feel comfortable and being able to express themselves without being embarrassed. Students should come prepared for class by looking over their notes and doing their homework. Also, be prepared to participate in class by working problems together, group work, and projects that are related to the objectives taught in class. I look forward to having you in class. Today we're going to talk about trigonometry. What is trigonometry? Well, trigonometry is the study of triangles, particular a set of special relationship among the sides and the angles within them. We represent these relationships with functions such as sine, cosine, and tangent. And then those angles will be represented by Greek letters, which we'll get into a little later. Okay, so let's look at this triangle. A triangle has three sides. One, two, three sides, and they're labeled with a lowercase letter A, B, and C. This is called a right triangle. Because there's a right angle in here in the corner. Now let's label this right triangle. These are known as the legs that meet that right angle perpendicular. And then this side is called the hypotenuse. Now, we are going to talk about the different trig functions that go along with this. The first one is going to be sine, theta, and we'll talk about the Greek letters a little bit later. So let's look at these angles. Here's an angle. We're going to call it theta. Now, if we're looking from this angle to this side, that's going to be the opposite. Now, the hypotenuse will always stay the hypotenuse, and this leg, A, is going to be the adjacent side. And it's the adjacent side because it's next door to the angle. It touches that angle. Remember, the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse, and it's always opposite the right angle. So now this relationship of sides is going to be the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. The next trig function we'll talk about is going to be the cosine. So the cosine is going to be the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. And the last one we're going to talk about today is tangent. Now, tangent theta, if we're looking from tangent, it's going to be opposite over adjacent. Okay, so those are our three sides of our relationship of our right triangle. Now, if we're looking from a different angle, which is here, and we're going to call that Greek letter alpha. So now our opposite side is going to be different. Now this side, if we're up here looking at the angle, hypotenuse stays the hypotenuse. And now this is the opposite leg from alpha. This is going to be my adjacent side. And the hypotenuse stays hypotenuse. We have an opposite side, and it's always opposite the right angle. So those are our three trig function with our relationship to the sides. Okay. Now, these are the trig functions we just talked about, and we're going to lead up to the unit circle. So here are our definitions. We have cosine of angle theta is the x-coordinate of the terminal point, and we're going to talk about that once we get to the unit circle. But I wanted to let you introduce you to these three trig functions. Cosine, sine is the y-coordinate, and tangent of theta, and that's going to be the ratio of the y-coordinate divided by the x-coordinate, which is sine divided by cosine. So these are the nicknames: cosine, sine, and tangent theta. Okay, now the relationship of the sides using that triangle, depending on which angle we're looking at, will tell us which direction that we're going. Okay, now these are our Greek letters, and we're going to talk more about that. But right now, we're going to see what we have next. And this introduces us to our unit circle. Now, our unit circle, and it's called a unit circle because it has a measure of 1 unit. Doesn't matter what the unit is. It could be centimeters, meters, and it has an X and Y. It starts at this point and goes all the way around. And it's 360. But right now, let's just label this. So this would be our terminal point. This is our 1 unit. This is our origin, or our starting point, which is 0, 0. The center. Okay. This would be our coordinate or ordered pair, 1, 0, and we could go around and label each one of these. Our radius, which goes from the center to our terminal point, that's our radius, is 1. And remember, it could be 1 unit, 2 units, or 3 units. No, 1 unit, I'm sorry, 1 unit. Unit of measure, whether it's centimeters, meters, inches, yards, it's just 1. Okay, now we're going to stop there, and I want you to be able to identify the 3 trig functions that we talked about, and then take a circle and label it. The center, that starting point, which is at 1, 0, and then the radius. And it is rotating in a counterclockwise, and it's going in this direction. Okay, so 3 trig functions we talked about: labeling the unit circle, and labeling the origin, the radius, and drawing it on an X and Y axis. Now, if you said the 3 trig functions we talked about, sine, theta, cosine, theta, and then tangent theta. Okay, and if you label the circle with the center being at 0, 0, our starting point was at 1, 0, and if we go in a counterclockwise, and our radius is 1. And that's the introduction to the unit circle.